Hi all, welcome back to 3D. I'm now here with Aras, the CEO of one of 3D's portfolio companies, Avicanna, with the ticker AVCN, which is a leading company in Canada for medical cannabis. Aras, please give us a rough overview of the company and how it was founded.
Sure. Thanks, Hector, and thanks for having me, guys. Avicanna is by nature a biopharmaceutical company. So we actually started off as an R&D company. We spent the first 5 or 6 years mainly focused on drug development and drug delivery of cannabinoids, and then we transitioned and evolved the company into a commercial stage one about 2 years ago, where we took these pharmaceutical drug delivery systems for cannabinoids, which is obviously not something that was very was not in the market at the time, and we brought them in under medical cannabis, and that ended up being not only a commercial channel for us to be able to generate revenue and put us on the track that we are now in terms of being profitable, but also to give us access to the medical community, give us access to the patients, give us access to data, which then fuels really our ongoing or long-term business model, which is pharmaceuticals. So we are really a pharma and a medical company. We don't partake in the adult use side, the recreational side of the cannabinoids. We only focus on non-inhalation cannabinoid-based products that are for medical, either whether it's symptom management or very indication-specific pharmaceuticals that we've been spending, the last 7 to 8 years of our timeline.
That's lovely, yeah. No, and I think the people that sometimes are a bit scared to invest in the cannabis space, it's clearly medical, not anything else, which is good. So then I guess either Jackson or yourself can answer this one. When did 3D make its investment and get involved? What's the relationship like? It seems Jackson is the point of contact at 3D for you guys because of his qualifications.
Yeah, sure. I can answer that. I'm, just kind of the second, first it's Sheldon and myself, we're both kind of deeply involved. But I think 3D we made our first investment of Avicanna way back probably around 2017. So this has been a 7+ year journey we've been on with Avicanna. When we first looked to get really involved in the cannabis space, we knew it was never about square footage. It was cannabis as a commodity. It was always a race to zero. So it was really about, the IP. And Avicanna has always been about science and data, developing drugs, as Aras mentioned, creating IP around their formulations, doing testing. So we're extremely proud and supportive of what Aras and his team has achieved over these years. They've been resilient and have grown in an extremely challenging market. When the cannabis industry collapsed, most companies were burdened with debt, had high costs, couldn't sell product, but Avicanna has really survived and thrived. They have a great vision and are able to execute on it. And we believe this is just really the beginning for the company, and we're excited for the future.
Lovely. So basically, they're near the beginning, which is good. I guess leading on to, you mentioned a bit on formula. What sort of catalysts are there? Can you tell us a bit about the IP, maybe the patents, and then what's unique about the formulations and the product?
Yeah, so cannabinoids are like any other drug, an active ingredient that interacts with your body, specifically endocannabinoid receptors in the cannabinoid system, and allows patients from our experience to benefit from a number of different clinical indications, a lot of symptom management. What we've done is we've developed proprietary drug delivery systems that allows us to target specific delivery, for example, fast versus slow, localized versus transdermal, and to do so in a way that allows us to control the uptake by the patient, allows us to then have specific ratios of cannabinoids that we can then synchronize or link to particular clinical indications. So everything that we do is proprietary, and by being able to put them into the medical cannabis channels and generate, obviously, revenue, we also have this remarkable opportunity to generate data. So typical pharmaceutical companies spend 20 years to put out a product into the market and really hope for things to go well in a clinical trial. In our world, not only are we generating, again, revenue, but we're able to actually get these products into patients very quickly, within 6 months to 9 months, depending on the development life cycle. And from that point, we're able to actually see which particular disease is benefiting from what kind of delivery, what kind of dose, what kind of ratio. And that's really what we then take into pharmaceutical development. So it's a very unique situation we're in terms of having medical cannabis legislation, being in the first G7 country in the world that has federally legalized it. That also allows us to work with some of the thought leaders, the most important key opinion leaders here in Canada in terms of the big academic and clinical institutions, and to do all of this while, you know, large major pharmaceutical companies, specifically in the United States, are still on the sideline because of the regulations. So again, everything we do is proprietary, and as Jackson mentioned, when we first met, you know, IDK and 3D and the team that supported the company, was really based on the biotechnology and the patents that we had developed and were developing. And this has now evolved into really a full cycle, full value chain biopharmaceutical company. And it's been an amazing journey. And obviously, we really appreciate the support that we've had in that journey.
No, that's really good. And you mentioned obviously revenue, and you've got 30 different products. It's interesting to see how many of those will be producing revenue. But I guess for some people who don't know the space, what are some of the applications that, you know, maybe people will be surprised, or what are some of the applications of these products?
So I'll give you three good examples of products. One of them is a transdermal gel. So it's a topical product that is designed for localized pain, so anti-inflammatory pain, muscular pain. And this product is actually designed to get past the skin, get into the joints and muscles where it's delivering the cannabinoids. That product is now available in several countries. It's doing extremely well in the Canadian marketplace. It's also enrolled in clinical trials that have just finished. So that product has been an incredible proof of concept, both from a clinical side, but also from a commercial side. Another prime example I'll provide is a purified CBD emulsion. So it's an oil essentially, but it's a more advanced proprietary oil formulation that is pure CBD, and it's used for epilepsy, mainly for pediatric epilepsy patients here in Canada. And some of the top neurologists here in Canada are prescribing that product. It's actually one of our best-selling products in Canada. So that product does really well. It's flavored so that it's a better experience also for the pediatric patients. Another example will be our proprietary nano-drops, which are water-soluble formulations that are designed to deliver cannabinoids into any type of beverage without any flavor, smell, or color. So this allows essentially any type of patient to titrate a particular dose into their beverage, whether that's a tea or a soup or a glass of water. And that's really helping patients to identify what is their dose, whether it's for sleep, again, pain, anxiety, allows them to do that without without the smell, without the taste. And what you see in these three different products that I mentioned, none of them are inhalable. These don't have any negative side effects on the lung. They're easy to dose, they're easy to titrate, they're pleasant experiences for the patients. But again, this is proprietary systems, so we do have a very good understanding and expectation of the results for the patients as well.
That's brilliant. It's safe through those accurate doses, basically, which is really, really good. I guess next question, just getting straight to the next point, is what supply channels do you have and are pursuing? Obviously, you've only touched on 3 products there that are all revenue producing and commercializing. What are the supply channels you have? I've seen some good stuff in the deck.
So we actually have 30 commercial products. When we mention 30 products, that's not pipeline. Our pipeline is substantially more extensive than that. The 30 commercial products are available across a number of different channels in Canada, specifically medical channels. So our products are available under our own platform, which is called mymedi.ca, which is the derivative of an acquisition we did from Shoppers Drug Mart, which is the largest pharmacy chain here in Canada. They had built a medical cannabis division that we had acquired. There's tens of thousands of patients that we're supporting with full sort of insurance, full adjudication, full education, full patient support. So that is sort of the core platform of the company, and I would say the major revenue driver. But in addition to that, we actually sell our products on other secondary medical cannabis channels, including large ones such as Canopy Growth, Spectrum. And that's because we have these, again, unique proprietary products that are solving particular gaps for patients. So some may say you guys are competitors in terms of medical cannabis, but they're, in this sense, they're appreciating that we're solving a lot of the gaps with these more advanced drug delivery systems. So our products are available actually in 7 other medical cannabis channels here in Canada. Our products are also available in a sense, over the counter across adult use channels. So you can buy them from the Ontario Cannabis Store, which is the provincial board here. And those are typically your what we would categorize as wellness products. So again, these topicals, for example, for pain are being sold under wellness. And then in addition to that, we're actually commercializing slowly into more and more international markets that are liberalizing in terms of regulations. Currently, that includes several markets in the Caribbean. We're expanding into the European Union. We're expanding into Brazil. So we're actually seeing not only the proof of concept in Canada be successful, but we're now seeing that expand internationally as well.
That's really, really good. It sounds like you've got a lot of collaborations, and that's kind of the next point. You mentioned shoppers as well. These are kind of strategic acquisitions, presumably competitors, but also the tech that you're acquiring by doing them. Can you tell us a bit more about some of those collaborations and acquisitions?
Yeah, we work with, some of the largest, I would say, pharmaceutical companies and pharmacy companies, I would say today in Canada and around the world, that are entering the cannabinoid space and are differentiating between recreational and seeing the potential of medical, which I think is just the beginning. And when you pinpoint that you want to go towards the path of medical and pharmaceutical, I believe we're in a leadership position at a global level within that realm. So we are now in several discussions, several collaborations, several distribution agreements, several co-development opportunities as well with international biopharmaceutical companies and pharmaceutical companies. The specific case of Shoppers Drug Mart, again, the largest pharmacy chain here in Canada, is that they built a medical cannabis division. I believe they built the most comprehensive medical cannabis care platform here in Canada that was a multi-branded sort of online pharmacy that has full patient support programs. So pharmacists on the phone that are helping patients on how to dose, how to titrate. Pharmacists are supporting physicians on how to train them on how to, again, dose and how to prescribe. And full adjudication system for insurance providers, meaning the largest insurance companies and government entities are actually going through Shoppers Drug Mart to be able to pay for the patient's prescription. So we acquired that business unit from them in August last year, and since then have been evolving the platform from what they had already established and improving it with obviously our understanding of the medical infrastructure, and we were able to grow it. And that has now, in my opinion, established the most comprehensive medical cannabis package in Canada. Because on one end, you had Avicanna's proprietary products, all these advanced medical products backed by data. And on the other end, you have this essentially online pharmacy that comes with patient support, comes with medical education, comes with that hand-holding that everyone needs for something novel like this. And when you combine the two, I again would argue that that is the most complete medical cannabis package in the world. And I'm a strong believer that as much as we are a pharma company and we're targeting indication-specific drugs, in parallel, medical cannabis as a whole is a massive category. And it's one that is going to be, in my opinion, expanding internationally substantially faster than recreational will be.
Yeah, I'd just like to add a couple points on that. One is, Aras makes a great point that the sector itself is not getting smaller, even though, a lot of these companies are going under. So that, in some ways, the opportunity is bigger now than it ever has been. But the other point I just want to highlight, going back to the Shoppers, is just a testament to, how highly regarded Avicanna is. Shoppers, for people who don't know, I think has around 5 million patients on this online platform. It was tens of thousands of patients. So, and they're owned by, I think, a $60 billion conglomerate company called Loblaws. So for them, it's more about reputation than anything else. What, they have to be very careful when they're selling a business to ensure when you're dealing with patients that those patients are taken care of. So the fact that Avicanna was able to get this acquisition over the line, can keep the patients, continue to grow it, I think is a huge testament to Avicanna's ability to deal with patients and deal with them at the highest level, and with these massive companies, I think is just another point to add.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And it was completed recently in 2023, wasn't it? So that's very positive. And actually, I think we haven't touched on some universities you've collaborated with as well. Can you tell us maybe on one or two of those?
Yeah, I mean, by far the most substantial and the most significant medical and academic institutions here in Canada are currently our clinical partners, academic partners, and or have been in the past. And that's because, again, when we incubated the company, when we built the company in the earlier stages, we were part of a Johnson & Johnson incubator, part of the Mars Discovery District here in Canada, which is really the Silicon Valley of biotech here in Canada. And that is within 500-meter radius of the most important, I would say, medical and clinical institutions here in Canada. And that really set the stage for us to be sort of the golden child or the standard in terms of clinical research if you want to go into cannabinoid studies and research. So we've been able to work with the best. That includes University of Toronto, which we work with the Faculty of Pharmacy on a lot of our initial drug development. That includes UHN, the most substantial clinical organization here in Canada, where we've done a number of preclinical projects, and we're now enrolling into several clinical projects. That includes the Hospital for Sick Children, which is the largest children's hospital here in Canada. And again, within these institutions, we're working with the top, department heads, whether it's dermatology or pain or oncology or neurology. And again, as a little company, we're working with the largest, and that's because our true focus has always remained on cannabinoid-based medicine. And while the larger companies, have obviously initially all started off as medical companies, they've all now become recreational focused. In many instances, they've become alcohol companies. And I think that's really the separation we were always hoping for. We're always hoping for a larger gap between what is a medical company and what is a recreational company. And I think we stand as perhaps the only true medical company within the cannabinoid industry here in Canada now.
Yeah, no, I'm learning more and more, and I can see that you are indeed, how ThreeD described, kind of the leading company for medical cannabis. I guess just adding to that, just to double down, what makes you stand out from other Canadian companies in the space, especially on the CSE index, which I think is a majority cannabis companies?
So I'll start with patents and intellectual property. Everything that we do is IP. So everything that we do, therefore, has entry barriers and it's hard to duplicate and replicate. And really, you see that also, the inverse of that is cannabis companies commodifying in terms of what they're selling, because everyone's selling similar products, whether it's a gummy or flower, where when we're talking about advanced drug delivery systems, this is not easy for them to be able to replicate. And of course, in our world, that stuff is patented and protected anyways. So that's one. And what's interesting about that is you're already seeing the effect of it, right? So one thing's to say, theoretically, we have these more advanced drug delivery systems, but you're seeing them being successful in the market. You're seeing them take pieces of the market away from the larger companies, especially in the medical side. And we're dedicating almost no resources into marketing yet, because we're looking at all this as proof of concept and data generation. And the other thing you see is the margins. So because we're operating within this highly, and high entry barrier, highly proprietary product, we can actually charge the prices that we think are appropriate, and we're able to demonstrate that with consolidated global margins that are near 50%. And I think that's what makes us a pharmaceutical company, and that's what makes us a biopharmaceutical company. When we get into the EBITDA stages of the company's life form, not only are we growing a few 100% a year in revenue, but we're putting up significantly higher margins than the adult use companies. So this is not just about our positioning, our reputation, which, as Jackson alluded to, we were selected by Shoppers Drug Mart because of our positioning, our integrity, our dedication to medical. But we're already seeing the proof in the pudding financially as well, through the margins, through the revenue growth, through the entry barriers, through the access to new markets. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that, especially as more of the pharmaceutical partnerships mature.
Yeah, definitely. And I can see how you're basically the results and the commercialization is your marketing. I mean, maybe when it gets to a point where it's just such a big disconnect in value, then you kick in with some marketing. But I know it's been a great call, and thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Cheers.